G'day there guys, it's your main man Marky and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I hope you enjoyed today's bloody good stories, and with that said, sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, let's get right into it. Cheers. My child is alive, but not really. I just have to let this out. I have a good friend whose baby really did pass away, so I can't say shit. My son is 14, he's nonverbal, in diapers, needs help with all basic care. He's the sweetest, he's happy, he giggles and hums all the time, but that's it. And I thought I grieved, but now that he's this age, I can't stop crying. I was big into sports. There's no sports. There's no camps he can go to because of diapers. Yes, we've tried it all. We've accepted that this is our lot in life. We're fine with that. There's no homecoming, there's no boyfriends or girlfriends, there's no prom, there's no teaching him how to drive or grounding him for sneaking out. There's nothing. It's like he died in 2009. And I just have the shell. I got to get pregnant once, I got to have one child, and that's it. I'm close to 40 and I got one chance. I was fine, ages 2 to now, but now it's real. Now my friends are having babies, and my nephew is growing up. I have a perpetual toddler. My life isn't the same as anyone else. I have a great job and career. Support-ish system. My husband said we can adopt and help older kids, but it's not the same, because my son will be the same age year after year, no matter who we would adopt or help. I'm stuck. Why am I even building a career? I love my job, but what the hell is the point? So I can pay for diapers? I'm just beside myself in grief, and yet he's alive. So how can I complain? Edit to add, I had no idea this would blow up like it would. I see that I've been shared in anti-groups, and I've had a few tell me to take my kid out. However, those were the minority in comments. I can't express how cathartic this was. All the stories and beautiful messages have helped me heal and move past this grief wave that I was in. Thank you to everyone who commented. I'm still trying to keep up. I hope this was a space for others to feel heard and not feel alone. Thank you. In the comments, Lucy Likes Doing Nothing says, "You are totally entitled to feel that way. Sometimes it is just too much, and your frustration is easily understood. Taking care of someone 24/7 isn't for everyone, and it takes a very strong person to do that. You're doing incredible, and it's okay to feel stuck." OP says, "That's a great way to put it. It's constant care. Thankfully, I am not alone, but it is constant. He has learned how to climb for Oreos, so I don't have to get those out. I'm in my 60s, obese, and semi-disabled, but I would climb for Oreos too. I can't imagine how difficult this is for you. I just wanted to send you some love, and maybe you got a little bit of a smile out of my snarky comment. Snarky, but true." OP says, "It did make me smile. Thank you. Glad you understood my snarky Oreo comment. I feel you. Our son was born normal and healthy, but was diagnosed with cancer as a baby. During treatment, he sustained a brain injury. He will now be living with us for life. I am beyond grateful that he survived, that I didn't lose him like other parents I met through the cancer journey, but I still have huge amounts of grief. I still lost my son. The boy he was before all of this is gone, and I have a totally different child now. I wonder what could have been. The personality he would have had if things were different. It's so hard to feel like you lost your child, at the same time as knowing that they are still with you. Sending you a virtual hug. I hope for both of our sakes that we can find some peace." This is pure grief, and all of it completely valid. OP, you are understandably mourning the life that you thought your son would have had and the life that you imagined for yourself as a parent. It's a sort of ambiguous loss. Like, your child is there, but the future that you pictured with them, and, that kind of never arrived, and that kind of grief just kind of lingers, I guess. It's really brutal. You are more than allowed to feel hurt over what you will never get to experience. As gets discussed a lot in these stories, caretaker burnout is real, isolation is very real. The, I can't complain because he's alive kind of mindset It kind of feels like, yeah, he's alive and others don't have a child that is alive. So who am I to complain? That's tough. That's really tough, and I think you deserve support just as much as anyone else. Thank you for coming and sharing your story with us, and I hope, as you've said, everyone else sharing their stories has helped you as well. And now, on to the update. I posted in September 2024 about my 14-year-old son being alive, but not really. The post helped so much, and I truly think the comments got me through that time. After I got my medication adjusted, I've been promoted at work, and we've moved to a place with much more room. When he turned 16, April 2025, I had a breakdown. Full-on sobbing breakdown. The reality of the age was hitting me. We weren't teaching him to drive like his cousins are doing. We aren't going to prom. All those fears that I had years ago were now coming true. We weren't looking at colleges. Thankfully, my best friend flew in to see me. I got through it. However, it's been heavy again. I don't know if it's because I'm prepping for 18. He's alive, but not really. He's still non-verbal. He's still in diapers. He's become more independent in things and can fix his own cereal, but will sit in his room humming until we go get him. It's a complete mindfuck. You have a teenager with hair growth in places and he's in diapers. I feel like a fake mum, or at least a terrible one. I try to do things with him, but I don't know if he cares or likes it. He started getting seizures. Our life has completely changed. We're terrified of triggering one. Any trips we did take, gone. Any long trips? Gone. It's all gone. We attempted our own cure, if you will. Since my husband can stay at home, we stopped everything, and our boy sleeps when he needs and wants. Sometimes he's nocturnal, which means my husband is nocturnal, which means I'll go for most of a day for an entire week, not seeing them for more than an hour or so, between my own work and my own sleep. I just don't understand. I overcompensate with my nephews, buying whatever, because why do it? I do get my son stuff, but it's not the same. For mine. He doesn't care about Disney or the newest shoes. It's been 2.5 years, and I feel like even more of a fucking sham of a mother than I did then. In the comments, Coiled Spring Tension says, I'm in a very similar situation with my daughter. She's 25 this year, also non-verbal, can't really do anything for herself. She has good days and bad days. My wife and I work it out. I get what you mean about buying him stuff. Our daughter has a ton of stuff that we bought that she never touches, but by God does this lass enjoy ripping open wrapping paper. A couple of years ago, we were using a support service who sent carers around for maybe 6 hours a week. We found one carer that's amazing with her. Ended up hiring her privately for 2 days a week, 3 hours at a time. Most people might not get it, but those 6 hours are great for everyone. She's happy to have a friend to go out and do stuff with, and we get a few hours of respite. It really does make a difference, and it's not a failing on you. Finding someone that they can spend time with has made everyone happier. She will probably move on sometime, but we will enjoy it while it lasts. You're a human being. Cut yourself some slack. OP says, we talked about this. We had a nanny/sitter whom we loved before we moved. We're thinking about finding someone who would take him out and just hang out with him a few hours, a few times a week. We'd pay for any and all expenses, plus hourly. I think it'd be good for us. Thank you. He does love ripping open wrapping paper. Lol, not the gift, but I will wrap anything and everything. Yeah, we pay the same here. It's handy just having that little bit of time to chill. Bless. Whenever she gets clothes for Christmas or a birthday, those are just ditched and the next present grabbed, lol. Chocolate, however, is another matter. I don't have any advice, but I wanted to send you so much love. I worked supporting adults with severe disabilities, and it's so hard. To imagine the future they could have had, compared to the reality of now, must be soul-shattering. I have a child with disabilities, not to the severity of your son, but the fear that I feel for her future is gut-wrenching. the vulnerability as she grows, and the guilt of knowing that she will probably never be independent. Please know that you're doing your best in an excruciatingly difficult situation, and that makes you an incredible mom. You're allowed to feel exhausted, resentful, and scared. That doesn't make you any less. It makes you human. OP says, resentful. Dad and I are trying to get better at taking ourselves out. It's easier to do alone, albeit sad. His giggles are cute, but his high-pitched ones are to tell me that he pooped his diaper, using an AAC. And then he giggles because he's embarrassed, I'm sure, while I wipe, and it makes me want to scream. I wanted to be a grandma. I wanted to have a kid-in-law. I just can't stop grieving. I feel like I wanted to read this one because it's different to what we normally get in these stories and in these episodes. This shares a much more brutal reality where it's not like anyone is an asshole, and these kinds of situations can happen to anyone at any time. You can be able-bodied, and all of a sudden, something happens and you're no longer able-bodied, and this reflects many people's realities who can't just voice what they're going through, I guess. And oftentimes there are no answers that you can give. All you can do is share your story. Like, this is just chronic grief that will never get a break. It's been 2.5 years, and if anything, OP is going through it worse than she was before. I'm just here to say nothing about this makes you a bad mother, OP. You still show up, you adjust your life, you worry, you break down, and you keep going anyway. It just shows so much love. Even when it feels empty or it feels unfair and it feels like you don't deserve to go through what you're going through. I do hope that you get some more support to help you ease the burden of all the responsibility that you and your husband constantly have to deal with. And I do hope that if you are able to do that, life gets a little bit better for you at least. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for coming back with an update. Am I the asshole for not agreeing to letting my husband replace his name with his grandfather's as our son's middle name? Hi. I really would like to know if I'm the asshole here. There are aspects of it which admittedly go against me. We're expecting our first child, a boy, and I'm due in March. My husband and I had gone over names. Our understanding was that the last name would be his, the middle name would be my husband's name, and while we were both going over first names, he used to defer to my choice as long as he was okay with the name. And fortunately, my first choice was one that he was good with, and that's what we have decided. Yesterday, he told me that he wanted to honor his late grandfather, my mother-in-law's father, by using his first name instead of his own as the middle name. He said his mother had suggested it, and that they were all close to him before he passed away of cancer that they had caught super late. So it was kind of untimely. I tried to be as diplomatic as I could, but I said that I don't think it's a good idea to do that. His reasoning was that the middle name was supposed to be his name, and he's just choosing to give it away to his grandfather. It's the same thing. And I said, no, it's not. His name was something that I was okay with, something that I wanted. I love him, and by extension, his name, and I want it to be a part of our son's name, not his grandfather's, whom I've never met. We kind of ended at an impasse. He thinks I'm being unfair, that he had been accommodating when it came to the first name, which was true, because that was my call, while the middle name was his. I've told him that the middle name was supposed to be his name. Am I the asshole? In the comments, quote, not his grandfather's, whom I've never met. Yeah, I'm going to withhold judgment on the question. If you don't like the name, that's one thing, but this right here is bullshit. 2 of my sons have wives' uncles' names. One has his first name, and another has middle name as a second hyphenated first name. I never met him. He passed away years before my wife and I even met, but I understand that he meant the world to my wife, and I was more than okay with him being honored like that. With our youngest boy, I had a different second middle name picked out of a list that included her uncle's middle name. When I told my wife which one I had picked, it was not her uncle's name. She asked me if we could use her uncle's name, and I agreed without even blinking. If you don't have a problem with the actual name, why not go ahead and let it be? My husband's middle name was his uncle's first name. Sadly, his uncle committed suicide as a young gay man, and so my husband was named after him. I think it was especially meaningful for my mother-in-law and her sisters, especially when my husband came out as gay. His aunties each had a son as well, and they all turned out gay, so it's been nice that with this generation, they were able to make things more accepting. OP says, that makes sense. We'll go with his grandfather's name. Good choice. I think you'll come to embrace it. I'm essentially the third parent to my nephew, and we loved his original name. Sadly, my beloved grandfather passed very soon after nephew was born, so to honor him, we changed his middle name to my grandfather's Hebrew name. It took some adjusting, and my sister had to replace the initials on her necklace, and some monogrammed gifts were no longer accurate, but we all love it now. Granted, my brother-in-law also loved my grandfather, but even if he hadn't known him, I know he would have also accepted the change. I can't picture nephew having the other name now, and it gave him cooler initials, actually, because now they spell out a fitting and fun word. I understand with pregnancy, emotions and hormones especially, why it was hard for a moment to envision this change, but it will mean so much to your husband and his family, and eventually to you as well. The thing about not having met his grandfather is kind of a sick thing to say. Like it's just some stranger and not someone your husband had a relationship with. I never got to meet two of my partner's grandparents, but I'm still interested in knowing about and remembering them as people who shaped my partner and are a part of my lineage too now. I'm naming my baby after my great-grandpa, who I never met, but my mum remembers him fondly and has always liked that name. So I'm honoring her and the family patriarch. Back up to the post, there is an edit. I've read the comments, and thank you for the feedback. I guess the middle name being my husband's prerogative makes sense. I don't hate the name he's suggesting, and if it's important to him, then fine. I sound dramatic, I know, but I need some time to mourn the complete name that I had in mind. It was just the first name that we chose, followed by my husband's name, was just perfect in my mind. But I understand it's a compromise. I'm just going to take some time to process it. That's a tough one as well, because me personally, I thought this was kind of a not the asshole or no assholes here situation initially, and I know that's wrong, but I was on board with OP here being like, marriages and childcare and all of this, it's a 2 yes, 1 no kind of situation. It doesn't sound like they spoke through the terms of each name individually, because it kind of just sounded like his name gets to be the middle name, not he gets to choose what name becomes middle name. And then from the outside in, if you apply it to like the entire name, it doesn't feel like OP has much of a say at all in the child's name. Husband gets the last name, husband gets the middle name, husband gets to say yes or no to the first name. The only thing that OP has some control over is if she gets a yes or no to the name that she suggests for the first name. But anyway, that's just semantics. She had a name in her head, she got attached to it, and it's changing. Especially when you're pregnant, I can see where you're like, yeah, this is a lot to process. This is all hitting me like real fast. What is going on? But yeah, this isn't about your relationship with the grandfather. It's about your husband's relationship with him. Ultimately, the middle name was his call. He's using it to honor someone who mattered deeply to him and his family. I don't think that this change is completely unreasonable. I'm glad that you listened, you reflected, and you came to a compromise with your husband on this one. And yeah, taking time to grieve the name that you wanted is completely fair. And now, on to the update. Hi, thanks for all the comments on my post. They were eye-opening and super helpful. After reading them, I had decided to be okay with us choosing his grandfather's name instead of his. The comments had made the important point that though I'd never met him, he was clearly important to my husband. And as much as I wanted my husband's name as the middle name, it was a good way to honor him. Yesterday morning, I told him that I was on board with using his grandfather's name as the middle name. I didn't pout or anything, I want to make that clear. I just genuinely said that if he wants that, then I'm okay with it. He asked me if I was sure, and I said yeah. Then last night, he spoke to me about it again, and said that if I preferred his name as the middle name, then that's what we should do. I told him that I'd come to terms with a change, and he said he'd pushed for the change because his mum had wanted it, and he thought he did too, but on thinking it over more, he wanted the name to be the one that I wanted more. He also said he loved how much I wanted the middle name to be his. Admittedly, I did still want that. I thanked him for being so understanding. We've always talked about 2 or 3 kids, so maybe we'll get the chance to honor his grandfather or grandmother again. Thank you for all the comments. I feel like we're in a better place for me listening to them. In the comments, it's always a mother-in-law who wants a second chance at naming a kid when she presumably didn't even do it for her own children. He already gets the last name, and you agree on the first name even though you came up with it, so yeah, the middle should be a compromise. I'm glad you worked it out. Wait, you both talked to each other, listened to each other, acted like you cared about each other, and were both willing to compromise? Reddit is broken tonight. I was definitely on the OP is the arsehole side for the original post, but if OP genuinely believes that hubby changed his mind for the stated reason, and not because he felt like he had to, then I think we should obviously trust that. I'm glad that you two came to a happy resolution, OP. Maybe give your husband some time with this new information. Perhaps he will change his mind. I guess I'm sort of worried that he's relenting because he knows how much you want this. You know, happy wife, happy life and all. That's what I think too. If he's used to giving in to make his wife happy, it's likely that he's doing it now too, especially since she fought it originally. God damn it, Reddit comments and the nuance and devil's advocates that come down and pick apart a good resolution. In all seriousness, no, that does give me pause that perhaps OP is not as amazing as the story makes her out to be. Him being so flip-floppy with it, having the mother-in-law be the source of wanting this name, but at the same time, I get a feeling that he wants the name as well, but he just can't really say it because happy wife, happy life, he doesn't he feels the passive aggression from OP, that she's not going to be happy and never really will be happy with this middle name, and that it might be a source of tension, so that he's just relenting and being like, you know what, it's not worth the fight, let's just keep it as it was. I can absolutely see that, and I can see OP not being the best person in the world, but at the same time, who is perfect? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, OP, that you weren't being manipulative at all in this situation, and that he has decided to backflip on this, making that choice with full information of how everyone feels and where everyone stands and how he himself feels about the name. Maybe I've analyzed it too much, and the commenters that are saying, oh, he's just appeasing you, maybe they're just projecting. That's also a possibility. Maybe I'm projecting. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think trust your husband's words unless he gives you a reason not to. I see this as a win. Thank you for the story. Our next post is by user May Have Crossed a Line, titled, Am I the asshole for telling my husband that he's made me reconsider leaving him alone with the kids in the future? Hi. I wanted to get an opinion of whether I was in the wrong here. It was my niece's wedding this weekend. She's my oldest niece, the first among her cousins to get married, and I'm very close to her. There were also some events happening last weekend. So I had taken the last week off from work and flew to hers the weekend before. My husband and the kids, 12-year-old daughter, 10-year-old son, were supposed to fly in at Friday for the main event. Before I left, I had prepared enough food for them to last the while. The stuff they were planning on eating first, I had put in the fridge, and the other dishes in the freezer. All they had to do was let it thaw, put it in the pan or the pot, add some water, and heat it. I had even marinated some chicken separately for them to cook in the oven. For their school lunch, I had told my husband what had to be made for them, that it would take 20 minutes in the morning, so to factor that in. He had said he understood. Now, this is my fault too, but for the first 2 days, I made sure to ask during my conversations with them if the food situation was fine, but I hadn't brought it up later. Plus, all the events we were having distracted me too. When they flew in, I asked if it had all gone well, if the food had run out. He said no, there was more than enough, which made me feel better. But when we got home yesterday, there was way more food left than I thought. I brought it up and found out that even thawing and heating the food was too much to do after the initial refrigerated dishes, and they had just defaulted to eating out, and he had been giving them lunch money instead of homemade lunch. I was so annoyed, I told him that I was disappointed in him, that I'd have to now think twice before ever leaving him alone with the kids again. He got heated too, said that I wasn't giving him his due credit for taking care of the kids. They were happy with what he was doing, and that should be it. That the kids were safe and sound, and there had been no emergencies, and it was messed up for me to say that I didn't trust him with the kids. We had been curt with each other in the morning today. Am I the asshole? Edit. I just wanted to add that we had discussed what I should leave for them before I started cooking. I asked the kids what they want, and had discussed it with him. He had asked me to make his favorite meal, which was the one that they ate first. Also, yes, I do work. I'm a dentist and I have my own practice. In the comments, he got exactly what he wanted. He pretended he was too incompetent to even thaw and heat up food that was already prepared. His reward is now that you'll never ask him to take care of his own children again. This can't possibly be the only time that he's acted utterly helpless in order to get you to do anything and everything that he doesn't want to do. You don't have a husband. You have a third child. Not the asshole. I guess I'm a different kind of wife, because I'm leaving next week to go out of town. I told my husband to figure it out while I'm gone. He knows where the grocery store is. In my opinion, is a competent adult and knows how to take care of our kids too. OP replies, he doesn't normally do much of the cooking, so it probably wouldn't have been right if I just told him to figure it out. I wanted the kids and him to have homemade food while I was away. That's why I went through the effort of preparing it, otherwise I would have had to expect that they'll be eating out all week. But I cooked specifically so that they have homemade food. A meal out here and there is fine, but consistently over a week while there was a freezer full of food that I'd made is why I got angry. I've read most of the comments though, and maybe I'm the one who needs to stop planning ahead like this and let him handle it. Or at the least, I'm going to start making sure that my daughter and son can do it in my absence, if they want, without depending on my husband. At OP, did you actually say that you can't trust him with the kids? Or just that this would make you think twice about leaving them with him in the future? I feel like if it was the second one, but he just took it as the first, which it seems like from the wording, then not the asshole. OP says, I said I'd have to think twice now the next time I have to attend something like this before leaving him with the kids. Editing again, a lot of people are saying that there was no need for me to have done the prep. I hear that. I'm not saying it's the best way, it's just the structure we have. It's just what the kids are used to, so I didn't want that disrupted. Normally, I pick up the kids on my way back from the clinic and make them lunch. Thrice a week, I go to a dental center in the evenings too, so before I leave, I normally have dinners set up and snacks made for them for the evening. So when I'm back, they're normally full and I can finish making dinner. So they're used to homemade food. And yes, I should start teaching the kids how to cook too. They're busy with studying and their extracurriculars and friends, so I just avoid pushing this onto them, but gradual responsibility is a good idea. And reading the comments, I recognize I probably did cross a line. I'll apologize to him. This is just one of those stories where I don't know the answer. I feel like I'm going to say something stupid and the comments are going to be like, Marky, what the hell's wrong with you? Because in a way, I feel like the answer is a bit of a you're the asshole for saying that you can't trust him with the kids. Because it's not like he neglected them. He was just lazy and weaponizing his incompetence. But on another note, I feel like it's a not the asshole because he shouldn't be doing that. And I feel like you can be honest with your partner being like, I made all this fucking food for you. Why couldn't you just cook it? Why are you so lazy that you couldn't even do that? You're wasting all of our money on a shit ton of takeout needlessly when there is food in the fridge. I just think that you, OP, have normalized a workload imbalance in the household. For some reason, you're taking on the mental load around food and routines, and he's used to you handling it. It's that weaponized incompetence again. It really sounds like that's what's going on here. You're putting in a lot of effort to make things easier, keep a routine for the kids, and it sucks that it kind of sounds like he's just not pulling his weight. I think you guys need to have a real talk about your expectations. And next time you do have to go away, don't do all of this pre-cooking for him. Just let him fully handle it. But at the same time, him handling it sounds like he's just not gonna cook and he's just gonna order takeout for like a week. I don't know the answer. Oh my god. And now, on to the update. It was my first time asking for opinions on Reddit, and I'm fairly glad I did. The feedback was helpful. While my husband really should have told me beforehand if he didn't plan on heating up the food that I'd prepared, I crossed a line in what I said. It made me sound like I didn't trust him with the kids, which is not how I feel, but that is what it sounded like. I apologized to him for what I said. We had moved past it, but I still thought that it was best to get this out of the way, and he was cool about it. Said he understood why I reacted that way, so that's that. I've read a lot of the comments saying that I need to let go a bit, and maybe they're right. I've let it go for so long because I guess in my eyes, they're still my babies, and I didn't want anything to take away from their studies and friends and their fun. But I've realized I'm not doing them any favors by not slowly delegating responsibility. So I've had them help me in cooking dinner now, and I want to get them to a point where they can at least prepare something for themselves or reheat something if I'm stuck at work, and they seemed to enjoy it too. Thank you. In the comments, so now your kids also do some tasks, but your husband keeps doing nothing? You really missed some serious advice on the weaponized incompetence strategy from your husband on the last post. OP says, at this point, asking him to start learning to cook and clean is more trouble than it's worth. Oh, he won. Oh, no. No, he's an adult and can learn. You just don't want to. OP says, if I ask him to, he will. That's not the problem. It'll be slower, messier, and I know that this is the exact issue people had pointed out in me last time, but if I'm being very honest, I have the patience to guide my kids through it, but at this point it's too much to wait for my husband to catch up. I'd much rather it be done quick and well by myself. Commenter 3 says, gently, I need you to really think about this and why he finds this harder than your kids do. Or is it actually not that hard, but he just complains? OP says, I wasn't expecting this response here. I'm going to think about it. While it was pointed out last time and I pushed back, I do know that I have a tendency to want things right. But I guess it has to be a balance. Thank you. So now you have your kids picking up your adult-ass husband's slack. Wow. He really has it made, doesn't he? Dude, this is not a positive update. Your husband wasted your time by not owning up to being incapable of heating up dinner. I don't think at 10 and 12, your kids should be responsible for cooking their meals. My husband's mum did this because his dad is completely incompetent. Anytime we've gone over there to eat and she's not home, my husband has to cook because he can't figure it out. His dad can't grocery shop either. It's embarrassing. Your husband is more than capable of learning, he just doesn't want to. I hope one day you can leave him and have a much better life, and maybe meet someone that actually loves and cares for you, and respects you. OP says, girl, I'm turning 40 this year. My jaw dropped when I saw that she's a dentist that runs a clinic. How in the fuck do you have time to do all this prep work on top of the usual homemaker tasks and run a dental clinic? Is she chronically tired? Have no hobbies? How often does she see her friends? This feels like she's living a tough life and refuses to see it. You know how cartoon characters can run off a cliff but won't fall until they look down? Some people live in midair and know that everything hinges on never looking down. This is a perfectly evocative way to put it. Chef's kiss. I actually feel a lot of empathy for OP here. Obviously she was out of line for that initial statement, but look at what her husband did and didn't do. He didn't apologize for his part in this, or she didn't include it, and he fed the kids takeout for most of a week. It's not like he's in the kitchen giving it a go and she's preventing him from making dinner. He obviously just doesn't bother. I wonder how many other areas in which he doesn't bother besides cooking. Yeah, I was shocked by the comments berating OP. What would the husband do for food if he was living on his own? The fact that thawing prepared food was beyond his capabilities is embarrassing AF. And it's very sad that his wife and kids are having to pick up the slack in that area. How do you toe the line in a situation like this where you don't go fully victim blaming, but you also get the person writing the story to wake up and do something about the situation that they have enabled. I don't know how to do it. That's a very tricky and emotionally volatile thing to do in her position. And it would really suck to me if all these people trying to get through to her are not successful and instead they just, I don't know, she antagonizes Reddit and she's like, no, it's not me that's wrong, it's all of you and I hate you. You're attacking me for what? I just came here for help and you're all a bunch of assholes. I think, after this update, not the asshole, but OP, you're still doing too much. Apologizing, owning your mistake, and changing your approach, A+, good stuff. Thank you for doing that, credit where it's due. But your relationship dynamic, protecting your husband from learning basic adult skills because it's faster if you do it, no, I don't think you should be doing that because that just sounds like the weaponized incompetence playbook right there. Your kid stepping up is great, but it absolutely should not come at the cost of enabling him. You're not wrong for wanting things done properly, but you're also not wrong for being frustrated when he defaults to not even doing the bare minimum. Both of those things can be true. It's obvious that you love your life and you love your family and that matters, but I don't think you should be conflating this notion of like, this works right now, like this dynamic we have with this can't improve. I'm seeing a lot of denial there and I'm not liking it. You deserve a partner who carries their own weight in the relationship, in the household as well. Thank you for the story and thank you for the update. Our next post is by user Grand Yam, and it's titled, Am I the arsehole here for refusing to give a cat back to her previous owner after adopting her? I adopted a kitten yesterday from a young woman, earlier 20s, who had been debating for about 2 weeks whether she could keep the cat due to her mental health and overall bandwidth after adopting late December. Ultimately, she decided to rehome her to me after taking 2 weeks to think on it. I was initially introduced to her and the cat because my friend's co-worker, the woman's mum, asked at work if anyone knew of a good home, which is how we connected. My partner and I already have another cat and had been intentionally looking to adopt for a few months. We brought the cat into our home and started the adjustment process just yesterday. Less than 24 hours later, the previous owner texted asking for the cat back. I responded kindly, but said that we felt committed to keeping her after all the time and prep into welcoming her into our home. She reacted poorly and began begging to pick the cat up immediately, sending numerous messages. I feel terrible because she's young and clearly distressed, but I'm also worried that giving the cat back so quickly would be stressful and unstable, especially since she originally wasn't sure that she could care for the cat long term. Am I the asshole here for saying no and keeping the cat? In the comments, Top Customer says, She sounds unstable. Keep kitty, don't stress that cat anymore. Not the arsehole. I feel for the past owner, but it sounds like she needs to work on herself right now. Not the arsehole. I feel for your coworker's daughter because she sounds like she's going through a tough time, but the kitten will benefit from stability with your family. And honestly, there's a solid chance if you did return the kitten, she would want to rehome him or her after a short time. She had 2 whole weeks to decide if she wanted to keep the cat or not, and ultimately decided that it was going to be too much for her to keep it and gave the cat to you. Don't let her stress you out anymore, and don't stress that cat out anymore. If he's already becoming accustomed to his new environment, please don't disrupt it. She'll be okay. People like her really piss me off, and maybe it's like a messed up thing to say as to my reason why people like her rub me so wrong, but genuinely, I feel like those types of people lack self-awareness and lack any sorts of empathy for the animal and the situations that they put these animals into. And on top of all of that, I feel like that barrage of messages shows that she is clearly unstable. She genuinely does not care about how her actions affect the cat's well-being, the cat's stress levels. She's just immediately being like, give it back, give it back, give it back, give it back. Because at the end of the day, it's about how she feels. It's what she wants. Her emotional stability is dependent on just having this inanimate object, I guess, in her life. Because if she were rational, if she were empathetic, she would realize such a snip, snap decision for this cat is going to really mess the cat up. But no, it is all about her. It is all about what she wants right now, in this moment. Consequences be damned. Screw that. She had 2 full weeks to decide. She actively chose to rehome the cat, and you took that responsibility seriously. Pets are not emotional placeholders that you can pass around all over the place whenever you make a regretful decision. That cat deserves stability. I think you handled this the correct way, OP. You offered the cat a consistent home. That's what the cat needs. You should not give the cat back. Do not fall for her emotional trap. And now, on to the update. After my original post, things escalated further. The previous owner continued begging for the cat back days later and offered to send us money for another cat. Now her mum has also started contacting me, and my friend, her co-worker, listing the original adoption fee, supplies they purchased, and is now asking us to reimburse them for these costs. I already sent them money the day of the adoption for the supplies. No additional payment or reimbursement was ever discussed or agreed upon as part of the adoption. I've already said no to returning the cat, and now I'm feeling extremely pressured to either give the cat back or pay them. Am I the asshole for refusing to return the cat and refusing to pay them? In the comments, Lunoko says, "Of course you're not the asshole. They seem extremely unstable and not concerned about the cat's best interests. At this point, you might be able to report them for harassment, but otherwise block them. Do not pay them another cent. Get the cat microchipped under your name and address. Take them to a vet for a checkup and get any needed vaccines and make sure everything is in your name. This 100%. I would also contact the non-emergency police line and file a report of the harassment, just in case of escalation. And don't block them. They're giving you all the evidence you need. Just let them continue digging their grave. You can always mute them so you stop getting notifications, though. I once sold a couch to someone, and their kid tried to get me to take it back the next day. This reminds me of the situation. Seller is unwell, possibly addicted, is clearly pushing the mark for any sympathy or money. The best thing you can do is stop responding. Yeah, I don't think they want the cat at all. I think they only want money. And saying you'll be gone a week and then not checking in for 6 months screams addiction. I'd put money on that one as well. I guess we can't really know for sure unless OP comes back with a further update, but it is giving addict vibes. You know, they're pushing for money more than they are like, no, it's about the cat. I really want the cat's well-being. It's better off in the house. But also, give me the money. This transaction's done. You're not a rental service where they can change their mind and then invoice you in what sounds like a scam. It really just sounds like a scam. Hell no. That mum jumping in to demand extra money is horrendously out of line. None of those costs were a part of the agreement. It's not your responsibility to reimburse them for choices they made before giving the cat up. You don't owe them anything. You can block them if you want to, but as everyone said, don't do that. Just ignore them, escalate as you see necessary, and protect the cat. Thank you for the story, and thank you for the update. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.